This is the FM Gold channel of All India Radio. In the program News Analysis, we now bring you a discussion on efforts to encourage digital payment in rural areas. The participants are Dr. A.B. Pandey, CEO, UIDAI, and Manoj Gairola, journalist.
On November 8th, the Prime Minister announced demonetization of rupees 500 and 1000 notes. At the same time, the Government of India started pushing for digital payment. So digital payment basically means use of debit card, credit card, wallets and online banking. So if you see in India there are about 40 crore active debit cards and there are about 3 crore active credit cards. But the POS machine that accept debit and credit cards are only around 1 million and most of them are concentrated only in 8 major cities. So there is a big digital divide between cities and villages as far as digital payment is concerned. What is your opinion, Mr. Pandey? What are the challenges that our society is facing, especially in villages and remote areas?
The major challenge that we are facing in the rural areas is people may have money in their bank account. Now supposing if they go and try to purchase something, then how do they get cash out of their bank account and how do they make actual purchase and how do they make payment? Because in the rural areas, naturally you have a limited number of bank branches. There are only 1,25,000 bank branches. There are 6 lakh villages in our country. And again, the concentration of bank branches in the urban areas will be higher. So there will be lots of villages where for miles you may not get the bank branches. Now, in order to take care of this problem or address this problem, there was a concept of business correspondents. So there are about 1,10,000 business correspondents who used to have Aadhaar-enabled micro-ATM. They used to go from village to village and give the cash out. But now, after this demonetization, first of all, there is a limitation of cash availability. And at the same time, government is pushing very hard for the digital payment. So therefore, this problem has to be tackled in a different manner, not in an usual manner. That, how do you tackle this problem? What is the infrastructure that is available, other digital infrastructure which is available in our country, and how we can use that digital infrastructure to take care of the problems in the rural areas. Now you see in India, out of 128 crore people is the current estimate of population. UIDAI has given Aadhaar to more than 108 crore people. If you consider the coverage among the adults, the total coverage of Aadhaar among the adults is more than 99.1%. More than 99 people will have Aadhaar, number one. Aadhaar has also established a nationwide authentication infrastructure. What do we mean by this authentication infrastructure? Authentication infrastructure might mean that any person who can go and then give his Aadhaar number and put the fingerprint, some kind of a mobile phone or a tab, which is connected not by 3G, not by the internet, but even by 2G, then Aadhaar number and the fingerprint. And then, the authentication happens then and there. Now, using this, what we have developed is Aadhaar-enabled payment system. That Aadhaar-enabled payment system, basically, it is an application which runs on any Android platform, that is, any Android phone or tab. The cost may range from 5,000, 3,000 to 6,000, 7,000 rupees. In that range, if you just attach one small fingerprint scanner, which again costs around 2,000 rupees, then every such Android mobile phone or tab can actually become a POS device. You mentioned about that the shortage of the POS device, only 10 lakh and then only in the urban areas. Now, this kind of a device can actually work in the rural areas because it requires only a 2G connectivity. And so this device where the people can come and give their Aadhaar number and put their fingerprint, money can get debited from their Aadhaar-linked bank accounts and can go to the shopkeepers or the merchant's bank account. The money can go like this. Now let us see, for that the necessary condition is that the person, the purchaser has to have his bank account linked to Aadhaar. Now in our country, more than 36 crore people's Aadhaar number are already linked to the bank account. And that means that total number of adult population will be around 80 crores. Out of that, 36 crore people, they have their Aadhaar number linked to the bank account. That means that 1 out of every 2 adults his bank account is linked with Aadhaar number. Now, using this Aadhaar-enabled payment system, one doesn't have to remember the debit card number or carry a debit card or, even remember the PIN. Because, many cases, the people may having the debit card and then they may never have used the card and then they would have forgotten the PIN. So they have to remember nothing. They have to just, type in the Aadhaar number and put the fingerprint. No name of username, no need for a password, no need for any PIN, and then the transaction happens. So this is the solution that we are proposing, particularly in the rural areas. Of course, for the other areas, you have other options, like you have options of debit card, you have a mobile wallet, you have the options of UPI. But many of these solutions will require having a smartphone, some amount of minimum digital financial literacy. Somebody should be able to do this. So that will be applicable for certain section of population in the urban areas as well as in the rural areas. But then there's a large section of people who may not have the smartphones, who may not have the connectivity, and yet they will need to transact. So this is how they could transact.
You are absolutely right, Mr. Pandey. In India, only 15% of the population has smartphones today. And similarly, mobile internet is also around 15-20%, not more than that. And this concept of Aadhaar linked payment system is very, very good. What is the status of this?
Before I come to that, you mentioned about, how many people have a smartphone. There are various estimates. The total number of people who will be actually be having smartphones would be around 20 crores. Then there will be another about 20-25 crore people, who will be having a feature phones, non-smartphone. But there will be about, 30 to 35 crore people who will not have either. No smartphone, no feature phone now. And basically, Aadhaar-enabled payment system is for those 30 to 35 crore people who do not have a smartphone and who do not have feature phone. And how does he make payment? And for that, this Aadhaar-enabled payment system is there. Now, this system is already working for the last 3 years. Now, the last 3 years, this system is being used to do cash out or cash in. That there are 110,000 bank business correspondents who are moving around with this micro ATM, where the person, gives Aadhaar number and put the fingerprint, and he's able to withdraw the money. Just like a ATM, business correspondent works like a human ATM. Now, what we have done is, there are 110,000 business correspondents are working today. Every day we are already doing 6 to 7 lakh transactions. In 1 month we are doing around 2 crore such transactions. People are getting benefits. Now what we are trying to do is that we need to scale up, convert these micro ATMs into a merchant POS device, where the merchant, instead of giving the cash out, he will give the goods and then he will accept payment through Aadhaar number and the biometrics.
You are absolutely right, and this is the most difficult part. You see, the success of digital payment depends on the ecosystem that is developed around it. For example, in countries like Kenya, which is again a poor country, 85% of the GDP flows through mobile phone. One of the reasons is that over the last 5 years, a very strong ecosystem is in place. So even a small merchant is part of that ecosystem, and big merchants are, of course, there. So what do you think that we have to do so that all the merchants in remote places and villages, they also come into the fold of this ecosystem and they start using digital payments?
The merchants in the remote rural areas, wherever you have the 2G connectivity, today in order to accept payments through the Aadhaar system, that they need to have a small smartphone and they need to have that single fingerprint scanner, which is costing around 2,000 rupees. Now, once this system is there, then they can get onboarded as Aadhaar merchant, and then they can start accepting the payment. Now, today that system is there. So what we are trying to do is that we are further trying to simplify the system. So along with the NPCI, we are developing a common application. We are saying that in the next few days, we will actually put this on, some website, where the merchants can actually download that application, Aadhaar Pay application. We are calling it Aadhaar Pay application. The merchant can download that Aadhaar Pay application on his smartphone, attach that biometric fingerprint device, and fill in his information, name, Aadhaar number, and then, his bank details. And thereafter, he can start accepting the Aadhaar payment from the buyers. So this is what we are going to promote during the next few days. In addition to that, the Ministry of Information and Technology, they have a network of 260,000 common service centers. Now a massive drive has been launched just about 2 days back, wherein each common center has been asked to identify 100 persons and make them financially literate. Financially literate in the sense that, explain to them all these options, like, debit card or UPI or even the Aadhaar enabled payment system or USSD, and then make them do at least, 4 or 5 transactions. So that is the purpose of financial literacy. So each common service center will actually train 100 villagers, number one. Number two, he will also identify 10 merchants who will start accepting the payments through this Aadhaar-enabled payment system. So this outreach program has been launched. So hopefully with this kind of an outreach program, you talked about the ecosystem. So this is how the technology is there, the infrastructure is there. What we need is an outreach program, and this is the outreach program that we have started. Hopefully with this, there will be enough number of people, who needs to buy. They will get educated that how to use all these digital modes of making payment, and at the same time making the merchants ready for accepting the digital payment in the rural areas.
We find that even in cities, merchants are slightly hesitant in accepting payments through UPI and all this means wallet and debit card. And one of the reasons is maybe that they are not well aware about this payment system, and there is habit. For decades, all of them are using only cash. It is same with customers. And it will be a bigger challenge to educate both merchants and customers in villages. And another aspect that is coming is that of cyber security. Because there are always slight confusion. People have slightly less trust on online payments. Because whenever there are cases of hacking and then news appears on front pages of newspapers. So this makes people slightly hesitant in both making and accepting online payments. So what is your opinion? How will you tackle this problem?
The point that you have mentioned is very, very critical. First of all, there has to be a massive education and awareness campaign saying that, the digital is the way to go ahead. This cash is kind of sooner we get rid of cash should become the history, and then the future is digital. This is something which everyone should understand. And the good thing about this whole digital thing is that, the whole process is so simple. It is only a question of getting over that initial hesitation and getting onboarded into the whole system. I will give you an example. There are n number of applications today. For example, WhatsApp, Facebook, almost everyone is on that kind of using this, right? Nobody taught them. But it's only a question of awareness. Once the people aware and also aware about the utility of this, they will figure out that, this is perhaps the most convenient way to do this, number one. Number two, about the security part. Yes, security is very, very important. So whatever solution that we are proposing, for example, Aadhaar-enabled payment system or UPI, we are spending a lot of time in ensuring that the transaction is secure. And in case supposing if there is some problem or some lacuna or somewhere something is found, the customer should not suffer or the merchant should not suffer because there is some hacking or something. So that kind of assurance will have to be given. And this is a worldwide practice. There are certain insurance schemes, which can take care of such things. So on one hand, strengthen the security so that, nobody is able to hack to your system. But in case, in some remote possibility, if something happens, what we need to ensure is that the people should not lose this. And then this is something, which has already been done across the world. And we can do the same thing, same pattern that, have a strong insurance system which can ensure people from getting into a loss kind of a situation because of lack of security, and at the same time build a very, very strong security mechanism.
Let us hope that all the stakeholders of digital payment, they take care of all these solutions, and India moves towards a cashless society both in cities and in villages. Thank you very much, Mr. Pandey, for joining.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on efforts to encourage digital payment in rural areas. The participants were Dr. A.B. Pandey, CEO, UIDAI, and Manoj Gairola, journalist. The program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. This program is also available on our website, newsonair.nic.in. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.